So, you thought you had enough of House of Dragons? If yes, then you, dear friends, are completely wrong, because now it's time to take out your swords and prepare for battle, because we're going on a journey to find out everything we know about the Game of Thrones upcoming prequel, House of the Dragon. First up, how did House of the Dragon come into reality? Let's talk about how House of the Dragon entered the picture. Game of Thrones ended back in May 2019 with its 8 seasons of thrill and drama. However, HBO wanted to pursue the show further and decided to prepare 5 potential spin-offs of the show. Later, it was decided that they would work on House of the Dragon. But do you know this spin-off wasn't the first one on HBO's list? House of the Dragon dwindled its way into reality because the production house initiated its works with the spin-off, which was set during the times of the Age of Heroes, and tentatively began filming it with Naomi Watts. But the spin-off was sadly abandoned. Oh man, it would have been so cool seeing Naomi Watts as a part of the cast. Soon after this, HBO made a surprise announcement that it had begun its work on the 10 episodes of the spin-off. This prequel is based on Fire and Blood, a fantasy novel written by author George R.R. Martin, who also wrote The Game of Thrones. The novel entails a deep history of the power of the House of Targaryen that starts with Aegon I, Targaryen's journey to overtake Westeros. It takes us back 200 years before the events of the Game of Thrones took place. Seeing the amount of effort and cost that HBO put into finalizing this spin-off, we hope that it wins back the hearts of fans that were disappointed with the ending of the Game of Thrones last season. We're counting on you, HBO! So, when is the spin-off officially airing? Whoa, hold your horses, or should I say dragons. HBO announced that the House of the Dragon spin-off is set to hit your screens on August 21st, 2022. The release date was followed by a poster of a big glowing dragon egg, ready to crack at any minute. The series will have a total of 10 episodes, and will air on HBO Max, and air weekly. UK fans would have to wait a day longer, as the show will premiere in the UK on August 22nd, and fans will be able to see it on Sky Atlantic and stream it on Now. Don't worry, UK fans, better late than never. The series was ordered back in October 2019, and auditions for the cast began in July 2020. There are still many more things that HBO needs to consider, such as the editing, visual effects, filming, and more. And since this series is more focused on dragons, a lot of time on the visual effects will be taken. Casey Bloys, the programming president of HBO, said that the show would come somewhere around 2022, since it's a big and complicated show. If you remember, The Game of Thrones was also considered a complicated show, since it took 9 months to film and another 9 to release. What does the trailer tell us about the prequel? There's no need to worry if you haven't seen the trailer, because we have got you covered. HBO Max surprised us by releasing a trailer of the House of the Dragon, and gave us glimpses of what Westeros looked like 300 years before the Game of Thrones events. Westeros is pretty much similar to the Westeros we know. The only difference is that it gives off a darker vibe, except for the character's hair, which is platinum all around, and that's because platinum hair is a sign of nobility among Targaryen and other noble families. If you look at the Iron Throne, it seems more monstrous, and more of what the author George R.R. Martin portrayed in his books. Sadly, the trailer doesn't tell us much of what we can anticipate from the show, except that the Targaryen dragons will cause havoc and mass destruction later on in the show, since the audience felt it was missing in the last few seasons of the Game of Thrones. Isn't that exciting? Last December, HBO posted 2 concept arts, or teaser images, captioned "Dragons Are Coming," through which they implied that the filming for the series had begun. We know that the drama's setting takes place in Dragonstone and King's Landing, but all the action and bloodshed takes place in the Riverlands. The most gruesome battles take place at the God's Eye and Harrenhal. But wait, who's directing the show? Even though we're well aware that the series will consist of 10 complete episodes, what HBO didn't tell us is the name of the titles of these episodes. But we're relieved, as HBO informed us of the show's directors. Joining Miguel Sapochnik at the directors panel for the House of the Dragon Season 1 are Geeta Patel, director of The Witcher, Claire Kilner, who directed EastEnders, and Greg Yaitanes, director of House. Seeing 3 of the most acclaimed directors in the industry raises our expectations for the show. Now, enough about the directors, it's time we take a stroll into the casting list for the characters of House of the Dragon. Now, the cast list for the House of Dragons. Leading the cast of the House of the Dragon is Paddy Considine, who will be seen portraying the role of King Viserys, who is described as a kind, graceful, and warm-hearted man who only aims to carry on the legacy of his grandfather. The Lords of Westeros chose him to take after the old king, Jaehaerys Targaryen. But there's one thing, just because a man is good at heart doesn't mean he's good enough to rule. Following Considine is Olivia Cooke, who plays Alicent Hightower, daughter of Otto Hightower. She is a pleasant woman of grace and beauty, known in all 7 kingdoms. She has deep connections to the king and his close circle, and is politically alert. Cooke mentioned in an interview that her character is very different from the role she played in the past. Next in line, we have Matt Smith playing Prince Daemon Targaryen. He is King Viserys' younger brother. Daemon has pure dragon blood, and it's no surprise he's a dragon rider and heir to the throne. Finally, Emmy D'Arcy plays Princess Rhaenrya Targaryen in the series. Firstborn, a dragon rider, and with pure Valyrian blood, Rhaenyra is no ordinary woman. More exciting new cast members joined this list in February, and they include Steve Toussaint, who plays Lord Corlys Velaryon, also known as the Sea Snake. He got this name for being crazy sea adventures. Now that's a name. He is the Lord of the House Velaryon, whose bloodline is as old and as noble as the Targaryens. Next we have Eve Best playing Princess Rhaenys Velaryon, who is the wife of Lord Velaryon. Did you know that she was a candidate for the throne, but didn't get it just because she's a female? That's discriminating. Finally, we have Rhys Ifans as Otto Hightower, Sonoya Mizuno as Mysaria, and Fabien Frankel as Ser Criston Cole. What's so special about this prequel? House of the Dragon is set back 200 years ago and revolves around the history of one of the most important families of Westeros, the Targaryens. In Games of Thrones, we were shown the downfall of the House Targaryen, but that won't be the case in this series. Instead, the show will begin showing viewers the pinnacle of the Targaryens dynasty and their power in Westeros. Game of Thrones began right after the dragons went extinct, and you can say everyone went crazy when 3 new dragons were born. But what the audience didn't know is that there was a time when there were more than 3 dragons. The House of the Dragon begins with the House Targaryen having control over a myriad of dragons, ultimately giving them power over all of Westeros. The series focuses on a conflict called the Dance of the Dragons, which in short is a Targaryen civil war. That being said, the show will bring to life many dragons and will also feature several sequences where 2 dragons and their respective riders will fight fire in mid-air. Game of Thrones' major focus was on how the Targaryens fell out of power after being the strongest family in Westeros during Robert's rebellion. So that's why Daenerys' revival to power was considered important. But if we talk about the Dance of the Dragons, it isn't something that added to their sovereignty. Rather, it weakened them as a whole. And because this war led to the demise of many dragons, it consequently meant that the Targaryens were vulnerable to the point of no longer being in power. The Dragon's Dance gives House of the Dragons an added benefit, and that is to be visually more dramatic, bold, and ambitious compared to the Game of Thrones. Thanks to the Dance of the Dragons, fans now have the chance to see the timeline of House Targaryen, when it was the most powerful of the 7 kingdoms, to when its dynasty was close to declining. Wow, now that's what you call an interesting plot. We're already excited about this show. That's a wrap for this video. Let us know your thoughts on the House of the Dragon. Will it live up to your expectations? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.